Welcome into another episode of the Redraft Show, brought to you by the FFD Fantasy and sponsored by ProfitX. And today we're here to get into the running back rankings, the must starts, the Chef GPT Pleasure Chest champions, the countdown, and the lost board. So let's get into the list. And starting off this episode, we're going to talk about Rachaad White. So I almost said we're going to get into Rachaad White, but my name's not Sean Combs. So anyway, the first name that we want to discuss here is Rachaad White. Rachaad White is taking on the San Francisco 49ers in a 47-point over-under. And I've got him right here as my running back 23 on the week. I've got him right behind Chase Brown and ahead of DeAndre Swift. So sandwiched in right there as a fringe running back 2 play. That's more of his floor. I think the ceiling is great. And here's why. So I love the bell cow usage that he's going to command in a high over-under game. We're not going to have Bucky Irving this week. That's a big deal. I don't know about to you, but to me, it's a big deal. And then we've got the Niners allowing at least 6 receptions to the running back position 3 different times. So if you just consolidate all of the backfield work, they allowed 6 receptions in 3 different weeks. And they allowed 8 receptions to Kyren Williams the last time that we saw them play American tackle football. And if one thing, Kyren Williams may be a better running back than Rachaad White, but he's not a better pass catcher. And so that's just a role that's primed for Rachaad White to thrive in a high over-under game. So, and the Niners allow the 9th most yards before contact per attempt. And Rachaad White has found his footing as a runner in the last year and a half. So I really love Rachaad White this week. We might talk about him later, but let's move on to my number 3 pleasure chest champion, my running back 18 on the week. That's going to be Rico Dowdle. Now, we're calling this Rico's revenge because basically the Cowboys let him walk and he very easily could have been the running back again but Javonte Williams is filled in admirably. So I've got him as my running back 18 on the week, and I've got him just behind J.K. Dobbins, who we also love this week, and ahead of Derrick Henry, whose matchup I don't love as much this week, with no Lamar Jackson. If Lamar's playing, I changed my opinion. I reserve the right to change my opinion completely. But we're not in that world right now. I don't think Lamar's going to play. The Cowboys have one of the worst defenses in the entire league. Again, we've mentioned the Rico revenge narrative, and he's come out and said it. They allow the 10th most rushing yards in the NFL, and they've allowed the 8th most attempts. I mean, teams know that they can run the ball against you and, usually profit. I mean, if Brees doesn't fumble, that game might be a different game. Anyway, that's a different story for a different day. The Cowboys are 5th in touchdowns allowed and 3rd inside the 5 attempts allowed thus far this year. They've allowed 7 receptions to the running back position in at least 3 of the 5 weeks, and at least 20 receiving yards to the running backs of the opposing team in every game this season. So if you're a betting man, it sounds like a week to bet on some Rico Dowdle alt receiving yards, but that's a different story for a different day. Actually, it's a story for Friday at 8 p.m. Check that out. Bet on it. Shameless plug. Anyway, moving on to my number 2 pleasure chest champion on the week. We've got a guy that I've been screaming from the hilltops since maybe early June, and that's going to be Jacory Croskey-Merrit. Bill, now we did get Bill naming his dollar bill celebration dance this week. So I just really this is the breakout that we've been hoping for. We got everything out of the way that we wanted, and we finally got Bill. And he took the stage, and now the light is shined on Bill. So I think he's going to continue this against the Chicago Bears. Now, I've got him just behind Breece Hall and ahead of Alvin Kamara this week, coming at the running back 15. And the Bears have allowed the most yards before contact in the entire NFL. Beyond that, they allow the most yards per attempt in zone concepts, and the Commanders average the second most yards per attempt, okay, in zone concepts in the entire NFL. And besides, if that's not enough, Jacory Croskey-Merrit has an 82% success rate and averages 7.45 yards per attempt in zone concepts this season. So this is a match made in heaven for Jacory Croskey-Merrit to continue. The breakout started, but we haven't hit the peak yet. So you might be like, I bragged about selling low in Dynasty. I might have sold, selling high. I might have sold low on Jacory Croskey-Merrit, but again, we love him this week. He's our number 2 pleasure chess champion. And last but not least, we have our number 1 pleasure chess champion of the week. It's going to be Ashton Jeanty taking on the Tennessee Titans. And here's the thing. I'm really excited about this. Ashton Jeanty is my RB5. The only 4 running backs that I'm playing above him this week are named Saquon, Jonathan Taylor, Bijan Robinson, and Josh Jacobs. So that's how excited I am about this matchup this week. You know, I can't get excited about my team actually winning, so I'm excited about being able to take advantage of an opportunity for my team to allow fantasy points to a stud like Ashton Jeanty. So he's tied with Jonathan Taylor for the most missed tackles forced in the entire NFL. The Titans have missed 21 tackles, which is 10th most in the league. The Titans allow 4.79 yards per carry on zone runs, and Ashton Jeanty averages 5.24 yards per carry and scored both of his rushing touchdowns against zone, in zone concepts. And only Ashton Jeanty, only James Cook has more explosive rushing yards on zone concepts than Ashton Jeanty. So the Titans have allowed the 6th most explosive run rate in the entire NFL, and only the Dolphins have allowed more rushing yards than the Titans to explosive plays. So this is a play that I'm ridiculously excited about. And then here's one that's off the beaten path that you might think or be all in, but I don't think that you're bullish enough on Travis Etienne versus the Seattle Seahawks this week. Now you say Seattle's a really good defense. They don't give up a lot. They don't give up a lot of rushing yards per game. Okay. But they give up the most receptions to running backs, and they give up almost 7 receiving fantasy points a game to opposing running backs. And Travis Etienne and the Jacksonville Jaguars average about 7 receiving fantasy points per game. And Travis Etienne has been lights out. I mean, he's averaging 5 yards a carry in zone concepts and 4.5 yards a carry in man and gap concepts. He remains one of the most scheme flexible running backs. And Liam Cohen has been the savior to his fantasy relevance, and he's been lights out. So love Travis Etienne versus the Seattle Seahawks this week.
What's good? You know the phrase, the house always wins? Well, not anymore with our new sponsor, ProfitX. ProfitX, America's #1 sports prediction market, is a peer-to-peer sports prediction market where users play against each other instead of a sports book versus the house. You almost always get the best price in any spread, money line, total, and player prop, since you're playing against other people rather than the book. You know, it looks just like a sports book, but with way better odds. So what are you waiting for? Go download the app and use promo code FFD to claim up to $200 in profit cash on all the plays you use in the first 30 days of playing on site. Link in the description. Now, let's go looking around here, fishing around. What do we like? What do we see? We just did the P-Whopper episode with Joseph here. So we're going to take a look at one of our P-Whopper route-based heroes. We're going to go select receiving yards. We're in the Cleveland Browns game. Jerry Jeudy was on the list. Jerry Jeudy over 38.5 yards. We're going to smash play that one. The P-Whopper's been absolutely amazing with Joseph, so make sure you're signed up using promo code FFB and follow us through these plays. Jerry Jeudy over 38.5 yards. Peace.
Let's move on to some less fun stuff, and we won't spend a lot of time here because a lot of these are kind of self-explanatory, but if they're not, I'm fully prepared to give you an explanation. So let's get into the Lost Boys this week and the plays that I like the least. So number 4, we've got Isiah Pacheco. Isiah Pacheco taking on the Detroit Lions. He comes in as a running back 36 on the week. Okay. That's not great. And, the Lions have allowed the 6th fewest rushing yards, the 11th fewest fantasy points to the position. And there's only one game of double-digit fantasy points that Isiah Pacheco's had. And beyond that, okay, the Detroit Lions just are a mismatch, a complete mismatch for the Kansas City Chiefs in the trenches. And while they do have some opportunities, they've become one of the most pass rate over expected teams in the NFL. So that just leaves less work for Isiah Pacheco. And he already doesn't get the goal line work. So yeah, RB36 probably is the ceiling for Isiah Pacheco this week, unless he scores a touchdown. And moving on to my number 3, lost boy this week. And it hurts my heart to do this, but it's going to be Tony Pollard. I mean, he played a season low in snap percentage in week 4, and the team has already said that they want to involve Tyjae Spears more. For all of the hubbub last week about Jonathan Taylor going off, guess what? Jonathan Taylor destroys everyone. So this is not some sort of, it's not like they're just porous. Yeah, this is going to be a rough matchup for the Titans on the ground. So Tony Pollard is my number 3 lost boy this week. My number 2 lost boy is going to be Jaylen Warren. Jaylen Warren expected to be back in the lineup, but versus the Cleveland Browns. Now, the Browns only allow 0.68 yards before contact per attempt. That's the best mark in the league, okay? And then they only allow about 70 yards rushing, so they don't allow you to get untracked, to get on your running track. And then they only allow about 70 yards rushing a game. Okay. And only Jahmyr Gibbs has surpassed 60 yards rushing against this unit. So, yeah, not a huge fan of Jaylen Warren versus the Cleveland Browns this week. And my number 1 must sit, must avoid, lost boy, whatever. Like, it pains me to do this. And that's why I'm filibustering a little bit. But Alvin Kamara taking on the New England Patriots. Now, I mentioned how the Cleveland Browns were the first, in yards before contact per attempt allowed. Number 2 is the New England Patriots. So the Patriots have been extremely stingy. Okay, they allow 1.03 yards before contact per attempt, and that's second highest in the league. Kamara has continually declined in snap rate week over week, and it could be because he's nursing an injury. It could be because they're trying to put him on the trade block. Who knows? But regardless of all of these factors, Alvin Kamara is no longer in that elite. He's not performing at that elite level that we've seen, on what's likely going to be a Hall of Fame career. And the Pats have only allowed 23 receptions and three scores to opposing running backs. So that's why I'm out on Alvin Kamara this week. So we've given you the rankings, in somewhat of a convoluted way, but let me just run through what our top 36 is going to be this week. So you have Jonathan Taylor, who's obviously number 1. Saquon Barkley's playing tonight against the Giants in a revenge game. He very well could be the RB1 on this week. He's been waiting to get on track. Josh Jacobs 3, Ashton Jeanty's 4. I'm bullish on Ashton Jeanty this week. Christian McCaffrey comes in at 5, James Cook at 6, Kyron Williams at 7, Jahmyr Gibbs at 8, Devon Achane at 9, Quinshon Judkins at 10. And then, those are pretty much my must starts. I love Quinshon Judkins this week. Absolutely excited for him. Then you got, 11 to 20, Travis Etienne, Kenneth Walker, Javonte Williams, Breece Hall, Jacory, Croskey-Merrit, Bill, the dollar bill dance is coming out this week. Alvin Kamara, J.K. Dobbins, Rico Dowdle, Derrick Henry, David Montgomery, wow, goodness. You got a tongue twister right there. But number 20 was David Montgomery. So just to recap, I've got Alvin Kamara in my top 20, but I don't think that this is that's his ceiling most likely this week. Coming into the 21 to 30, you've got Jaylen Warren at 21. Again, he's a lost boy this week just because it's such a low over-under. Low over-under, and the Cleveland Browns have been extremely stingy versus fantasy running backs this year. Chase Brown is my RB22. He's here because Flacco gave me life, gave me a little bit of hope that he'll check it down and at least be able to do something with Chase Brown. Okay. Rachaad White, RB23, pleasure chest champion, Rachaad White to you guys. RB24, DeAndre Swift. 25 is Cam, Scatterbo, CTE, Scat Pack. RB26 is going to be Zach Charbonnet. RB27 is going to be RJ Harvey. I think that we might start to get a little bit more RJ Harvey across the pond versus the New York Jets. RB28, Tony Pollard. RB29, Ramondre Stevenson. RB30 is, this could be a thing, but maybe not this week. It's going to be Kendre Miller versus New England Patriots. And then the last 6, we'll give you 36. Tyjae Spears, Travion Henderson, Blake Corum, Tyler Algier, Isiah Pacheco, and Tyrone Tracy Jr. So there you have it. Those are our rankings, 1 to 36. Those are, I gave you the Pleasure Chess Champion countdown on the front end. For the podcast listeners, I ran down 1 to 36. So tell us what you like. Leave a comment, download, subscribe. Please, 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 if you haven't, go download the League Champ app in the Google Play Store and the App Store today. And obviously sign up for Profit X using promo code FFD. Now, as I always leave you, there's ball watchers and there's ball knowers. I'll see you in the wide receiver episode.